Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday nightcap edition here of Birds 365 on JAKIB Sports, wrapping up joint practice number 1 for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns, who are in town today. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday evening, brother?
Doing well. Big joint practice day. Exciting stuff until they actually started the practice.
No, John, you've been talking about these as the most important practices of summer, and now you're starting off the show with that. John.
Wasn't great, but it wasn't that, not from that part. It was just kind of nondescript, kind of a boring practice, but they're getting work in. That part of it's good.
Yeah, definitely getting work in. Definitely, I saw your tweet of Myles Garrett, bus guy. He's get off the bus guy, no doubt about it. Holy moly!
Yeah, he's he's an impressive dude. He's got, he's 272. He's got the quickest spray. He's got a first step like he's 225 pounds. It's just unbelievable explosiveness. And that, that's part of the problem. It was interesting because there was a lot of talk. Jalen Hurts was talking after the practice, talking about, game planning. You don't game plan for practice, but sometimes you sort of game plan. And they were sort of game planning for Myles Garrett.
You mentioned that this morning. You're like, I wonder if they should, just to try and salvage some reps here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, and they ran a ton of inside zone, which, by the way, was very effective. From what you can tell, obviously there's no live tackling, but they were very effective. But that's not what people want to see. I mean, but it's what the Eagles do. And, I think if today is any indication, and I think it is, they're going to be the same as they were last year. Just run it down people's throats until somebody stops it, and then shift from there.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. They've been running a lot so far this summer. You get together for a joint practice. They continue to run. Johnny Mack, are they built to do it? No Mekhi Becton. I think you're pretty good. I know Landon's supposed to be back earlier in the year, but I don't know, John, some part of me thinks even with that O-line, hey, maybe I'm way off, but I don't know. What are teams going to do this year to try and take that away? Because you got to think they're going to come in with a slightly different mindset than they did a year ago. Maybe not. I don't know. What's your thought on that? Just the NFL trying to acclimate and stop what the Eagles did last year on their way to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think as many teams are going to do that as people expect. I've said that in the past as well. Again, most teams take it as a gift if you're going to run the ball. They want you to run the ball. Right. And I don't think that's going to change for most teams. Occasional, Kansas City tried the Super Bowl, didn't work out.
Right.
But I don't think most teams are gonna invite it and say, all right, we'll deal with that. And we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, I think losing Mekhi Becton hurts, losing Landon Dickerson hurts even more. But they had Brett Toth in there today, and they were really effective. They were effective first and second team. So Darian Kennard with the second team is now at left guard, and ultimately I think he might take over if Landon's not there week 1. But they were still pretty effective.
Yeah, good news. Good news.
Running the football. Now the other part, looked like a Carolina game or a Rams game or a Packers game. Look, that was the feel of today's practice.
That Browns secondary is no joke, John.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But yeah, it wasn't great from that perspective. So a little bit of, and I don't know, maybe people will be happy with that. Maybe they won't be happy with that.
Yeah, we'll talk about all that. I want to welcome.
No AJ. That should be.
Yeah, right. Obviously, no AJ. I don't know. Any concern? We'll talk about that. Plenty of things to talk about here tonight. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here. Good to see all the great people in the chat tonight. And we'll be here for the next around 2 hours. We'll be here till 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I'll bring on Krause. We have an announcement to make for those who saw the National Football Show. We'll add a little context to that. tonight once Johnny Mac pops off. So we're going to be here. I'm going to be here live on the channel for the next few hours, probably 3 hours. So appreciate everybody for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Good to see you, Jack, Jason, Twiz, Kimberly, Billy, John, a lot of our great Trey Lucado. What's up, Trey? Good to see everybody in here tonight. A couple early super chats. How about this? Thanks, everybody. Carson Deniston says, John, AJ and Jalen or CD and Dak? Ooh, big question to start the show there. I'm going AJ and Jalen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, coming off, what the Cowboys are going through. I got to see what Dak Prescott is this year. I mean, I think a lot of people forget he was playing poorly before he got hurt last year. So, we'll see where he is. At his height, they were a higher volume throwing team, to say the least. So that factors into it. So it depends what you're looking for. But if you're just looking for better players, I would say Jalen and AJ are better than Dak and CD right now.
Yep, I agree. Carson, thanks, brother. Jason, A-Team Super Chat. Thanks. We're going to get to a couple of these Super Chats earlier. Then we're going to dive in, get this practice update. We got some talk in the corners. You just heard John kind of break down the offense. And then obviously no Shador today. A couple of injury things early in the practice. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what Jalen had to say, what Patullo had to say. Plenty of stuff coming here on Barrett's 365. Jason A-Team says, Zander, love the hard work. JAKIB does. Thank you, brother. We all work hard. Blessed to be a part of the movement. Your pops is awesome, by the way. Thank you. Thank you, J-Mac, for always switching up your schedule for us. So hyped for this season regardless. A nice super chat of thanks from Jason A-Team. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you being here. Pretty cool super there. Damon Knight checks in. What's up, Damon? Boy, am I glad to see you two. Had to put up with teenage Sills today, and we didn't have Zander to save us. I didn't have a segment on there today, David. But now we're all good. What's up, fellas? What's up, David? Good to see you in here, brother. Appreciate everybody for being in here. And Kenzo, a member for 3 months. Kenzo, thank you for being here, brother. So good stuff. Great to see everybody in the chat tonight. All right, John, let's get into this thing, man. The joint practice, you kind of gave a little bit of opening thoughts, but an offensive day, a defensive day. You said they were running well. You obviously got to block Myles Garrett, which is no small feat. No Shador Sanders. Tons of headlines, John, from today's practice. And also, John, I heard that secondary still not looking good for the Philadelphia Eagles.
No, not a great day for the corners, I would say. And
let's start right there, John. Let's start right there, man. Yeah. Keely Ringo. I don't know. I read Ed Kratz's piece today on Sports Illustrated, and he did plenty of pieces. He did great work today. So did you, both on SI.com. First thing, Ed Kratz in his didn't like column. I'll read it word for word from Eddie. Keely Ringo being way out of position on a throw to Jerry Jeudy, and like what happened against the Bengals' Jamar Chase in the preseason opener last week, allowing Jeudy to turn and race up the field for what was an easy touchdown, end quote. That's Eddie Kratz on Keely Ringo. John, I don't like reading that, my friend.
Yeah, I think and Ed pointed out the problem. I mean, Vic was talking about that after the preseason game. He's like, he's not mad at him for letting Jamar Chase catch the football. He's mad about, allowing to, making the poor decision, not understanding the situation of who you're on the field with and not being able to get him down. That's the problem. And he had pretty much essentially said, paraphrasing, he's got to learn from it. Well, he didn't learn from it.
Yeah, right.
So that's a really bad sign. Jacorian Bennett wasn't much better today. Get thrown into the deep end, getting some first team reps. And remember, this is not a great offensive team. They have no quarterbacks. Joe Flacco at 40 years old is the starting quarterback, and everybody else is hurt. Kenny Pickett's got a hamstring. He's only working in 7-on-7s. Dylan Gabriel's got a hamstring. He worked in team drills. Boy, he's got a weak arm. He doesn't have an NFL arm. And I liked him as a college quarterback, but I just don't see the projection.
Yeah.
And Shador Sanders we didn't get to see because he strained an oblique when he was throwing early in the practice. So he was
a tough injury too.
He was scratched from the team drill. So, it's not exactly Joe Burrow out there, and guys are getting beat left and right. He mentioned Ed mentioned the play with Ringo and Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy obviously is a very good receiver. So Bennett, you know, he got beat by somebody named Gage Larvadane, undrafted rookie, for a touchdown in the red zone. He allowed a completion, deep completion over the middle from Jeudy. So, you know, Jeudy again got flagged once for pass interference. So not great from him either. You know, Adoree Jackson seems like the best of the bunch. But Vic doesn't seem to like him. So right now it's looking like a disaster. And Eli Ricks, you know, for whatever reason, they're not giving him an opportunity. So he must not be doing what the Eagles want in situations that Vic talks about, maybe away from the ball, things like that. Right now it's not looking great. And maybe you're gonna have to play one of them. And maybe you're gonna have to have the growing pains with Ringo or Bennett.
Doesn't sound good from Bennett. That didn't sound very good. The Bennett report today.
No, that's part of the problem. I mean, neither report is good. So
from the John McMullen eye, is Adoree Jackson the best corner of the three as it stands right now?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. Not that he's great, but at least he knows how to play. The other two don't look like they know how to play right now.
Yeah, and the perfect example of that is actually the pass that you pointed out in the preseason game that Adoree gave up on Jamar. And, you know, you're like, well, he played him 5 yards off, but he did get him out of bounds. you know, I don't know. Maybe there's a savvy to that where if you know you're not going to beat a guy in or get in front of a guy in coverage like that, you got to know how to play him. And that's where the savvy, I wonder if Vic just ends up defaulting to that, John.
Well, right now, I mean, it to me, it would be just a you know, dereliction of duty to start anybody else if they were playing tomorrow. But you still have time. Still a couple more preseason games. Got a joint practice. Got some more training camp practices. So one thing I say about Ringo is he's in a position to make a play and he doesn't make it. So, you know, something clicks at some point. There's some hope from that perspective, but yeah, not a good report today. And remember, again, it's Joe Flacco and it's Dylan Gabriel for the most part.
Right. And you think Howie's going to do something about this?
40 years old. I mean, he was a good quarterback for a long time, but he's 40 years old. And then, by the way, he's the only one who can stay healthy. There's something to those old guys who just play through things. And the young guys, they're like, oh, I got to sit down. I mean, there's something to that. You know, Brett Favre would play through everything. And now some guy gets banged up. I see it all the time. Veteran quarterback gets hurt. Who was it? When Cousins tore his Achilles, Cousins had played an insane amount of consecutive.
Yeah, right. He had like 6, whatever, however many seasons it was. Yeah.
And, you know, they put in the young kid from BYU. I don't even remember his name. He's hurt 10 plays in. It's amazing to me. One guy goes 6 years.
Why do you think that is? Is that a luck thing? Is that a body preparation thing?
I think it's a body preparation thing, and I think it's
an attitude.
It's similar to pitching of, you know, well, you can't go past 85 pitches. You know, they grow up with that mentality.
Exactly. And then it's like almost like a mental thing for them.
Yes. And then it's like, oh, I don't feel right, so I can't play. Whereas, you know, and I'm not saying it's great, but because you're probably susceptible, you know, a lot of times for getting further injury, but there is a respect level for guys that will play through shit. And I don't see that a lot. Joe's 40 years old, and he's the only damn one that can stay healthy. It's amazing to me.
It is. It is. That injury that Sanders got was what you said. It's an oblique injury. It's somewhere in
Yeah.
the abdominal, I guess the abdomen area. That's an interesting one.
He got hurt throwing before practice. I mean,
how many footballs has Shedeur Sanders thrown in his life?
I don't know what to. I mean, look, there's bad. Everybody can tweak something. You get up and tweak your back, but obviously these are high level athletes. And I just point out those guys, those veteran guys that just play and play and play and play and
Yeah.
play. And then the young guy comes in and 10 plays in, he gets hurt, or 2 weeks in, he gets hurt. Something to it.
Hour 45-minute practice today, Johnny Mack. Some of the youngsters, Johnny Mack. I agree with you on this, no doubt about it. Johnny Mack, we talked about the secondary real quick before we close up that conversation. Move to some of the other points of practice. Is Howie going to make a move there? I mean, if we all see it, if Vic is talking about it, I know he brought in Jacorian Bennett. Bennett doesn't look very good to start. I mean, sounds like they traded for a bench depth guy and got rid of Thomas Booker to do it. Are they done at that spot? Are they good? I mean, I don't know. I got people in the chat not saying they're right, but make a trade, get a player in. I don't know. What do you think, John? Is Howie done on this position?
I think he's already made a trade. I mean, you got to develop the guys you have.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're not getting an all pro. I don't know at this stage of the, I mean, you're getting somebody who, the Raiders didn't want him. The Raiders aren't exactly a great team. So, but the Eagles are known for their developmental skills, and well, now they got to develop them. Yeah. So Howie was talking to Jimmy Haslam. So, I put that picture up on X, and there's like a million replies about Howie, Myles Garrett, and the Denzel Ward, and come on,
We were
guys.
getting him today in the chat. Oh, send this for this guy. Send this for Sauce Gardner. Send it. I'm like, all right. I don't think any of those guys are getting traded.
Oh my God. They signed Saul signed an extension. He's not getting traded.
John, will Vic be able to do it again? I mean, Vic did a lot of incredible things last year that went into that number one defense. Obviously, the players deserve a lot of credit, but you can only turn water to wine so many times, John. I don't know. I don't think he has the talent he has this year coming into the season. I know we've talked about it, obviously something we've talked about, but, there was a sense of me that was optimistic on some up and coming players. We talked about more with Joma. You talk about Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith. You think about, Jahad Campbell, I think is the one clear clear addition that they've made. I think there's a lot worse that Vic has to try and, make happen this year. Do you think he's going to be able to do it or what?
I mean, do it to what level? No, I don't think there's much chance.
Super Bowl level. We got to go win. We got to go win another Super Bowl.
Well, again, complimentary football, it all factors in. I don't think the defense is going to be as good as it was last year. It's not exactly an out of the box prediction.
Yeah, where do you think it has to be a Super Bowl contending team? Top 8, top 10?
Well, it depends on what the other phases do.
Right.
Does the offense get a lot better? Then it becomes easier for the defense. Do they have great special teams?
That offense was what last year? 8th?
Offense was 8th, yeah.
8th overall. Let's just say they stay at 8th overall.
Well, they're going to have to do it a different way to be 8th overall. With a dramatic fall from the defense, not even dramatic, say 1 to 15. They have to play differently, and by necessity. It's not. I think there's this mentality of Philadelphia mentality of just run the ball. Well, you have to be in a position to run the ball, which means in the fourth quarter you have to be ahead to close out games. You can't be behind. So if you're behind because the defense is not performing to the level it did last year, all of a sudden you have to shift You can still be 8 and effective, but you have to play a little bit differently. And that's my, my biggest, and boy, today was a boring offensive day. A boring offensive day.
We're kind of a boring offensive team. We were last year, and it got us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People get upset when I say that. I'm glad you said it. This is a boring offense. It's not necessarily a bad thing,
right?
For what everyone wants.
Do you think this boring offense requires an excellent defense to succeed? I mean, I think most teams need a good defense, but I don't know. Is this eighth-ranked offense weighed differently than another 8th ranked?
Well,
you know what I mean? Because of the way they play?
I mean, it's ironic because they had the 8th ranked offense in 2023 and the 8th ranked offense in 2024. You saw the results.
Exactly.
So what changed?
Is the defense.
What changed? The defense. So if the defense plays at that level, you're not winning with the 8th rank. You're not winning a Super Bowl. But I don't expect the defense to fall to that level. So you're sort of in the middle, stuck in the middle. But, boy, they got to get this passing game down better. This is going to get better.
And what did you see from Jalen Hurts today? I saw some starts that he didn't have a great start to his practice. He's obviously the guy that would, that the buck would stop with him when it comes to passing. I'm not of the impression that, it's required that he become this passing quarterback, but I don't think you want to be 29th in anything that you do in life. 29th out of 32 is not ideal. What'd you see from Jalen Hurts today? First joint practice with the Browns.
Well, it wasn't great from the perspective of, like I said, it was great running the ball and it was not great passing the ball. Now, first, some of that is the best play all day was a back shoulder. It was the first offensive play. Well, there was a offsides and a fumbled snap. So it was actually the third offensive play. But the third offensive play that was the first one that actually a play was run was the best offensive play of the day for the Eagles. And it was about a 25 yard gain. That's it. On a back shoulder throw to Johnny Wilson, which was a perfect throw. And Johnny's getting better at using his big body, which didn't always do, despite the fact what Jalen told me today. He did not play like a big player. Now he's playing like a big player. And it was a nice catch. It was a better throw, nice catch. And that was the best play of the day. That was the best play of the day. And a lot of it is they're very conservative, even in practice. And again, you can argue, and I even made that argument for him, if you practice ball security, you're probably going to be better at ball security in the games.
Yeah. I think there's some truth to that, the way you put it too. Everybody comes out and says, hey, it's practice. Just try and fit it into the tight windows. And then you end up with 30
exactly.
minutes. Yeah.
Exactly. So I get the argument. But it is what it is. And if you got a better word, please give it to me, but it's fucking boring.
A little left bomb on a nightcap edition of Birds 365. Gotta love it, Johnny, man. Hey, can boring, some say boring equals winning, John.
Brady, last year.
I don't know if you agree with this. They said Tom Brady's offense was boring too. I'm like, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. I don't agree. You don't understand what I'm saying. I'm not asking for big plays down the field. I mean, their entire offense today was inside zone and throws into the flat. Their entire offense. And the fans have been the ones complaining about it when things go wrong, and you'll be right back in that category. The fans I'm talking about will be right back in that category if things start to go negative like you were in 2023.
Right.
We need more motion. We need this. We need that. We need more creativity. You'll be right back in that because they're doing the same thing. The same thing. And it's been tremendously successful. So I get why they do it. But you're hoping for a little bit of evolution. And again, this team stinks and has stinked offensively when AJ's not on the field, and he's not on the field.
Any concern with him, by the way? It feels like a long time now. It's been a week.
Yeah, no concern. Put him in bubble wrap, because look at the way they play without him. Put him in bubble wrap.
Put him in bubble wrap. I just wonder, because those hamstrings are lingering. I don't know. Maybe it's just a little bit of camp. Camp stuff like you're saying.
Plenty of time for him to get healthy, and he's got to get healthy. And I was sitting there on the sideline with DeCecco and Martin and Adam Kaplan, and we all agree it's boring. It's boring. But you know what? If you got a running back who can run for 2,504 yards, you can win boring. Can it happen again? I guess. Did it once. Jalen Hurts said that today. Did it once. Why can't you do it again?
Right.
So it's possible, but there's going to be some ugly moments if things continue to weigh. There's no freaking evolution here. I'll tell you that.
Outside of Johnny Wilson, did you see anything from the receivers? To anything to Jahan Dotson? Anything to Devontae Smith? How'd they fare against the Browns?
Devontae was okay. He had a touchdown in the red zone. He had another catch over the middle. Devontae's Devontae. He's a really good player.
I was thinking he probably had a good matchup with probably Denzel Ward is what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae's one of the guys who's just in the category of, all right, that guy's good. But, to the point is, are you utilizing him correctly? Probably not. You're lucky you have a player with that mentality. Because, again, if you had a player with a Tyreek Hill-like mentality who, I want the ball, I want to play, you're going to have some issues. The fact that the Eagles have so many selfless players is an underrated part of this team. Because, receivers are generally have that reputation. Well, the receivers here have accepted, as long as we're winning, they're fine.
AJ kind of talked about that earlier in the summer, didn't he? About kind of learning that to accept that.
Yeah. Well, he had to play. He accepted it early because he had to play with Derrick Henry in Tennessee.
Derrick Henry to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
What would AJ Brown's career look like if he was with a high power passing all?
If he was
this game though, John, I do think, and so I do this too sometimes, but I do think sometimes fans just leave that out, and it's not. These are human beings. There's no way AJ doesn't look at some things and say, "Give me the ball." You wonder why he reads the book. You wonder why he says passing. He's a human, man. I'm sure he thinks he's capable of a lot more than he's being asked to do.
Oh, yeah. Devontae the same way. But they're happy. As long as they're winning, they're good. Now, if they don't win, if there start to be issues, then they're going to speak up.
What would you say to Dominique, John, who says, if there is one thing I have no concern on God's green earth in 2025, it's the Philly Eagles offense?
Well, I mean, they're going to be good. It's just a matter of how good they are. So to a certain degree, to a certain extent, I agree with that. But to say they shouldn't be better, I think is just ridiculous.
I think they want to be better too, John. I don't think it's
all. Of course, they want to be better.
Yeah, 29th and all in passing. I don't think anybody wants to be that. I'm telling you right now, I don't think anybody wants to be that.
Everybody's on record saying it. You don't have to think it. They've already said it. Everybody said it from Jalen on down. AJ, Devontae, Jordan, Lane, Nick. They've all said it. On the record, they've said it. Passing game's got to get better. Passing game's got to evolve. Passing game's got to be more consistent.
Not on my bingo card that the most exciting play offensively of the day was to Johnny Wilson, who continues to have a good camp. How about Johnny Wilson having a good camp? A great preseason game, some big catches. Now today he's making a big catch in joint practice. I think Johnny Wilson is one of the winners of camp so far. Brian Pumper will be thrilled to hear it.
Well, he was going to make the team. I said it early on. I would say he's had a great camp. He's had a great week. That's part of the things. But him and Anaya Smith as well. Year two, they're more comfortable. And that's a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, he's got to be consistent throughout the whole process, but he's going to be here. There's no doubt about that. A lot of the same thing. I mean, we've been having this discussion when at first it was Terrace Marshall was playing well, and then it was Elijah Cooks was playing well when Terrace got injured, and then it was Darius Cooper. All three of those guys, again, injuries play a part in it. I was talking about quarterbacks, but they get hurt and they can't practice, and all of a sudden we're talking about, could Terrace Marshall be good enough to say, hey, trade Jahan Dotson? Well, he did not play. He didn't play for a long period. Elijah Cooks is showing up. He's making every contested catch. Gets hurt. Still not back.
Done. Can change quick.
Darius Cooper is now in that category. And they all look like better receivers than Johnny Wilson or Anaya Smith, just pure receiver. Right. That was the only part of the job description. But one of the few creative plays was a wide receiver screen today that popped to Devontae Smith a little bit, 7-8 yards or something. Johnny Wilson with the block.
He does all that other stuff. He's a lock for the team. John, does Jahan Dotson look visibly better than, let's say, a Darius Cooper or an Anaya Smith?
Oh yeah. He's not in the same category. Yeah, he's much. It goes 1, 2, then you drop a tier to Jahan, and then there's tier 3.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah. No, he's much more gifted and skilled.
Anything to Dallas Goedert today, John?
Well, flat, yeah. A lot to Dallas and Grant Calcaterra in the flat. I mean, and those guys catch the football, and so they're positive plays. But it was a bunch. That's what today was. They probably ran 15 inside zone runs and 10 passes out to the flats on both sides. Will Shipley as well, as far as running back, coming out of the backfield. He's doing a good job as a receiver. That's all it was. And maybe they're working on that. Again, I bring up practice. Sometimes on purpose, you're working on things. Maybe they wanted to work on the run game. Maybe they wanted to work on the short passing game. Maybe they come out tomorrow and do something else. Yeah. So I put that context. I'm hoping that's the case, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm gonna, you got to make a decision because they're running things on both fields at the same time. So it's Eagles first team offense against Browns first team defense, then it's second team offense, second team defense. On the other field, it's Browns first team offense against Eagles first team defense. So my decision today, because I've spent most of camp worried about the defense, was to look at the offense. And I made a bad freaking decision because at least the defense is interesting from the competition standpoint. So tomorrow I'm going to be heavily focused on the defense, and then they'll be throwing the football all over the field. And
you quickly regretted your decision.
Oh my God. I was like, all right. For the last team period, I said I tapped out. I'm like,
once you make a decision, can you change it or
what?
Oh
yeah, you can move, but again, you can set up and there's little makeshift stands there, but the fans fill them up so quickly. If you're not up there, there's a lot to cover. Like joint practice, I'm trying to see who everybody's talking to and all this stuff, and you're trying to see who's there and all this stuff. And by that time, the fans have filled the stands because they're not allowed to get close to the field and see all that stuff, as close to the field. So they're already up there. So at that point, you can stay in between the two fields and look back and forth, but that's not a great viewpoint. And they're running reps at the exact same time. So it's not like they're waiting for one rep to go on one field and another rep to go on the other field. So if you have two people, we have two people, Ed and I. So, we can sort of like, all right, you look at this, I'll look at this. And that's what we try to do. Today I had too much of the offense and I went to the defense for the final period, final team drill period. Should have stuck with the defense.
Less boring, John, on the defense.
Well, my assumption there was that the Cleveland quarterbacks would stink on ice.
Yeah, I get your assumption. I completely get your assumption.
So
high-powered offense, all these guys, got a lot of guys on that Browns defense. I get where you're coming from.
Cleveland defense is pretty good on paper. Right. I thought it would be a nice matchup. Again, it's not even that they were unsuccessful because they did a tremendous job with those inside zone plays. But yeah, it's just they're good, so there's no reason to change. But it is an uncreative offense. I mean, that's fair for people who say that, and many people have said that, and I say it all the time. Well, it's not about creativity, it's about execution. But it's also fair to say they're uncreative and they execute well and they're successful. But it's fair to say they're not creative.
And is it also fair to say that sometimes creativity is overrated? Where
almost
like overbake the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt about it because most offenses in the NFL are far more creative than the Eagles. And most offenses in the NFL are not as successful as the Eagles. So that should answer that question.
Right. Exactly.
So yes, it's overrated. But it's also a fair criticism if you want to point that out. I mean, you could have Chip Kelly's old S4 play card, which was about, the size of, of this. If you the size of this, and run what they're running.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Or
but if nobody can stop it,
that's what I'm saying.
No need.
Johnny Mac, going to the defense. I know you said you watched mostly offense, which was a little bit of a letdown. But anything stick out on defense? Keely Ringo, not so good, gets beat again. And then you go over the first thing that Eddie wrote. I told you what he wrote about the dislike. He did write about Adoree Jackson, who showed up pretty good in one-on-one receiver versus defensive back drills. So I don't know. What did you see from the defense and the limited reps you got? And if you didn't see everything, what did you hear from kind of some of your beat reporters that did keep their eyes more on the defense?
Well, yeah, it wasn't a great day for the corners, as I mentioned, but everything else was pretty good. I think, I heard Azeez Ojulari made a couple plays, which is the first time we've heard that in about 10 days. Josh Uche keeps getting mentions from Lane Johnson. He's playing better. I'm a little bit, Jalix talked after practice. They've been doing some strange things with Jalix recently, like put him on the second team behind Nolan Smith on the opposite side and let Uche get some first team reps. So I'm kind of interested to see what that means or what's going on there. Morrow's just had a great camp. We've talked about that. Jalen Carter. Joe Placco was asked today about the defense, and he said, well, they got a bunch of dudes up front. He recognized that right away. So, certainly Nolan and Jalen Carter and Morrow and Jordan Davis are, I would say, pretty solid. And then and I kind of have the Jim. I have to break myself, and he was there today. I have to break myself of the Jim Schwartz mentality, because in Jim's mind, you got to have 4 pass rushers. And Big said, you know what? I don't have 4, so I'm going to use 3 after all the injuries. So he's a little bit different. So maybe you don't need 4. Tough to get through 17 games with 3, but you can do it. I mean,
and
Max Crosby.
You're looking at Uche, Jalux, and Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. I mean, but Max,
obviously you talk about this all the time. All right, the kryptonite for every quarterback, no matter how good they are, what they do, is pressure up the middle. Are the Eagles betting more on pressure up the middle and less concerned about pressure off the edge, as long as they can set the edge, drop into the flat when Vic needs them to, and kind of play that position from a 360-degree angle, because they're relying on Ajomo and Carter and Davis in the middle to push the pocket back? And in other words, some teams might have it on the edge, an elite edge rusher, but they don't really have the interior pressure. Are they kind of letting that out the door a little bit because they feel good enough about the pressure the team's going to create in the middle?
Well, I think their strength is in the middle, so I think you take advantage of the strength you have. But I don't think that's like a plan, if that's what you're asking. Like, I think he wants great edge rushers. But right now his interior people are better than his edge people. So, you utilize that, you utilize what you have the best way possible. But there's a lot of, so we always talk about, and what I was talking about with Jim, the rotation, and that's what I got used to. And he's more willing to come off that. There are guys, most notably Max Crosby, who basically never leave the field. Karlaftis plays a ton. TJ plays a ton when he's healthy. So there's a lot of guys who play a lot on the edge, but I don't know if the Eagles are equipped for that with Nolan. Again, you're talking about young players. We talked about young players. I mean, and there's already a pretty significant injury history with Nolan Smith. Shoulder, triceps.
Right.
Not with Jalix yet. We'll see. But he hasn't played that much. And then Josh Uche, who knows? But he seems to be ahead of Azeez Ojulari at this point. And I'm not saying, maybe Azeez will be here and maybe he'll use the 4-man rotation and maybe he'll start playing better. Like I said, a couple of guys I talked to said he made a couple plays today. So maybe that clicks. But I still have concerns about that position overall.
We'll see how it all shakes out there, Johnny Mac. John, any other quick takeaways? We're going to get to some super chats. I want to thank everybody. We got a great crowd in here tonight and a lot of super chats coming. So we'll get to all your guys' super chats. Appreciate that. John, anybody we left out that stood out in practice today? If not by you, maybe by Eddie Kratz or by anybody else that watched the practice today?
I thought, Brett Toth was talking to some reporters and said he didn't have a good day. I thought he had a good day in the run game. I thought they dominated inside. So I thought that was a positive. Good practice. Darius Cooper caught another slant, so he's doing well. Merrill tried to snag him, so he's interested. Merrill Reese is interested. He's been a big story. I think he keeps showing that he belongs, at least to a certain degree. I think it was more the more of the Eagles were, and again, not bad. More of the Eagles were normal. They resort, and that's what I called it in my story. They just went back to their default setting, which is inside zone. Probably ran it 15 times. And by the way, every single one of them, not only Saquon, Will Shipley, A.J. Dillon, were all effective. Every single one of them was effective. So that's a positive.
Tyler Steen seems to be really having a nice summer. Lane Johnson was giving him a bunch of props today as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing fine. He's part of that interior too, and that's sort of the group that dominated.
Right.
And the Browns lost their linebackers from JOK is out for the season. Yeah. Jordan Hicks retired, so they're trying to play Schlesinger, rookie, and so
Yeah, he was like the first pick of the second round, John. He was, right?
Yeah. 33rd pick, yeah. So, we'll see if they can get him up to speed. So I not that it was bad, it was just very similar to what it was last season offensively. Defensively, same issues. That's my problem with the defense. You're getting no clarity, and we keep getting later into the summer, and as Vic said, days are disappearing. And the cornerback competition has expanded. It's not contracted. That's not a good sign. As Sidney Brown, I should mention, was back with that was a weird, again, they only practiced 57 minutes. You weren't here, but Krause was trying to get me to talk about practice yesterday. I'm like, they were out there for a half hour. But after you're done stretching, they were just trying to get ready for the Browns today. Right. They didn't do anything.
I got to bail him out, though. I threw him into the fire in the last 20 minutes. John, literally 5:40 last night.
No, well, I
need you to step in, and he did. So, yeah, he might not have been fully ready to
do it. I felt bad, but I'm like, I mean, I can't tell you what didn't happen. They practiced for essentially 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
But it was weird, and I said, the most important parts of that practice was Makuba getting the first rep at St., which came out of left field. Today they were back to Sydney and him mixing in. So we'll see how that continues. And
Makuba dude, I can't get it. I'm sorry. I know everybody's been so mad at me in the chat for saying this over. I can't get over how small he looks, John, on camera. Like I saw a reel or a short video that people put up. And they were talking to Sidney Brown, all right? And Sidney Brown had I don't know what his answer was, but they talked to Sidney Brown. And then I clicked over to the next reel, and it was Andrew Makuba. And I'm like, they look like completely different sized human beings. Like, I don't know if it's just how it looks to me, but Makuba just looks tiny to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's a small guy for a safety. I mean, Sydney's a bigger guy for a safety. So, yeah. I mean, Sydney's put together. So, I mean, but you'd be surprised. I mean, the C.J. Gardner-Johnson who got here and the C.J. Gardner-Johnson who left, completely different guys from a physical perspective. C.J. really remade his body. I always talk about TJ Edwards when he got here to when he left. Kobe Dean. His Lisfranc injury, there was a silver lining to that because he couldn't work out his lower body for so long. He just worked out his upper body, and he came back and he was just jacked. So, I mean, he's got to get bigger, and that happens a lot with young players, with rookie players. They got to get, they got to get in an NFL weight room, an NFL strength and conditioning program. It's their job.
Right.
It's not like regular people who go to the gym. I mean, their job is to go to the gym. They have a lot of time. And they have all these trainers and cooks and nutritionists and sports science people putting them on programs. I think a lot of people would be shocked at how it morphs over time. And he's definitely going to have to add weight and strength. But, the positives about Drew Makubar is his coverage ability, his savviness in coverage, his instincts in coverage. That's what the Eagles like. And they're going to, behind the scenes, they'll try to build up his body a little bit and make him better equipped to do it long term.
John, anything from the pressers today? Kevin Petullo spoke pre-practice. A bunch of players spoke after practice. Jalen spoke about kind of his conversation he had with Shador. Any key takeaways from those, John?
I think, Jalen admitted he's got more confidence from winning the Super Bowl. For whatever reason, he never admitted that before. I think Ed asked him that question last week, and he kind of blew it off. And then for whatever reason, he got it asked again today, and he gave a really good answer. And, he's talking it was Jeff McLean who asked the question. He said, have you ever been promoted? And, of course, it gives you confidence. So when you reach the highest level, and that's where he said, well, we did it last year, so why can't we do it again?
Right.
So, that's given him more confidence, and I think that's understandable. I think that's.
I don't know how I'd liken it to a promotion, but I guess I understand the sentiment.
Well, the feeling of accomplishment,
Right,
as he was trying to say. We don't get to win Super Bowls,
right.
but when the average person gets promoted, they might feel a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, I get that. I get that completely. All right, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. Let's get to some super chats here. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We're going to get to all chats. I got a lot of them. Thank everybody for being here. All right, and we'll get to each chat. Two guys I want to thank right up front. All right, it's Mad Dio gives 10 memberships. Dio, thank you, brother. That's 10 memberships added to the giveaways on JAKIB Sports. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, Mad Dio. And then also Damon Knight gets 5 memberships. So 15 gifted memberships tonight. Wow. Big thanks to everybody for gifting, and good lucky. Congrats to the members who got gifted a membership and will now be eligible because it's August 13th. You guys are going to be in on that first giveaway, man. That first game is September 4th. So anybody that got gifted will be in on the first giveaway. And something, by the way, all the chat, I want you to listen closely. You guys are going to have to help me come up with the giveaway, the weekly giveaway. I'm getting jerseys anyway to give away, but I want to have another giveaway that triggers one in the game. So what is it going to be? We'll think about that here in a little bit. Johnny Mac, let's get some super chats. Here we go. Master Chief says, Rasul Douglas, get him. The names are coming, John. We got another one.
Well, I don't know. Rasul was a good zone corner. I don't know if he still is. He's got good ball skills.
And had a pretty good career, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he's 2017. He's still playing Buffalo most recently. A lot of interceptions. Always had great ball skills. Natural zone cover corner, which is would work in big scheme. Not the fastest guy in the world. That was the knock on him coming out. It's really like a 4'6" guy, very big corner. I think at this stage, I think he's 30. I don't think the Eagles want to go down that route, but people know him because he was drafted here and he's made a bunch of interceptions in his career. So, but I think they're comfortable with, and you see what the Eagles want with Ringo's speed and Bennett's speed.
Yeah.
They don't want a 4'6" guy out there.
D. Hughes says, time to trade for Sauce Gardner. Joking.
Yeah, that's not possible. So I'm glad you put joking.
Damon says, Damon, how long have you been around here? Because this is what I got. He says, Zander, when is J-Mac getting his Power Hour solo show? Damon, I don't think this guy can work another hour.
Yeah, what are you trying to kill me, dude?
But, Damon, if you've been here long, John, I'm sure you remember this. John used to have a Power Hour solo show on Saturday mornings called Extending the Play. All right. That was a great show, actually, John. So, David, I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to or you're looking for a new one, but not on the cards right now. Carson says, by the way, not because I don't want it, because John is working his balls off already. Carson says, if we are that bad at cornerback, why don't they play Coop? I'm starting to wonder this, John. Is Coop come to the outside becoming more possible the more the questions persist at that spot?
I think they like for safety.
I know.
I mean, it's now August. I'll tell you what, Vic's putting a good. He's throwing a curveball because it's now whatever August. I got to look. August 13th. He hasn't taken one rep this summer at outside corner to date. He did in the spring. That's what they tried. They tried it in the spring. And then when they got to training camp, they tried safety. And I think Vic likes him so much at safety and the slot. But I mean, if it goes really horribly bad and all of a sudden, Sydney or Drew are good, I wouldn't put it out the window, but I think we're talking like less than 10% at this stage. But I think he could do it. I think Vic thinks he can do it. I just think Vic is more comfortable. I think Vic thinks his best position long-term is safety now. But if the safeties are good and the corners are bad, he could make that switch when he needs to make the switch.
We'll see. JH checks in. What's up, JH? I heard Mick Williams has gotten outside reps the last 2 days on second team. How has he looked? Any chance he could come along and perhaps play this year?
Well, I thought there was, if he plays this year, it's probably going to be because of injury, significant play. And I thought he was coming along in the slot. I think they're trying to cross-train him. Again, I didn't watch much of the defense today. I didn't hear his name when I was talking to most of the guys. The practice, the 57-minute practice, he was outside. He didn't look great. He got beat on back-to-back corner routes. But he's more comfortable outside. He started outside in the spring. He played outside in college. He's just got some size deficiencies. So I think he can play both in a pinch. But I think this year it's about development for Mac McWilliams. He's going to be on the team, but if he's playing, it's because somebody got hurt. I would is how I would describe it.
Yeah, 5th-round rookie, probably not much this year unless necessary, but we will see. JH. Damon Knight checks in. Damon, thanks for all the support, brother. He says, do you guys think we can be top 5 in both? Oof.
Top 5 in offense and defense? No.
I think you'd have a really special season if you were, but that feels a little lofty for me.
I think the offense is more likely to be top 5 this year. Boring, but top 5. Defense, right now, there looks like there's too many issues.
Damon again says, I'm a machine operator, and a boring day equals a good day. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, if you can do it, do it. But I also know, Damon, if you're like the typical Eagles fan, a couple losses pile up, you'll be talking about how uncreative the offense is. Nobody cares when they're winning, which I also said. Nobody cares. Nobody noticed. What did we talk about all offseason before Kellen Moore took over the Eagles offense? What did we talk about, Zander? Don't listen to me. Listen to Zander. What did we talk about all offseason?
Motion.
Oh, the motion, the creativity, what he's done in Dallas. They're going to bring that here. Same shit. nobody cared because they started winning games. Brian Johnson got the uncreative tag because they didn't win. And 10-1 turned into 11-7. So it all, if everything, the old adage is true: winning cures everything. As long as you win, nothing matters.
Brian Pumper checks in. Here we go. Pump, I think Birds 365 has been lacking in good Pumper comments. He says, "Where are all the Ja'Cory and Beignet guys? Straight scattered like roaches. Scram." Oh no, he's been saying this about Ja'Cory since we traded for him.
Well, the guy's been here for a week. I mean, I think both sides are silly. I think the ones who thought he'd be a star because he came over after 400 snaps with the Las Vegas Raiders of all team, were kind of silly. But yeah, I think if you're giving up on him, I think that's kind of silly. It's been here for a couple days. But right now it's not looking great, but probably doesn't even know the defense yet.
Good stuff, Pump. We'll see. Twiz says, J-Mac, have you gotten a ride in Gilly's side by side? Why the fuck would J-Mac ever get in Gilly's?
No, I'm not interested in Gilly's. Gilly was there today, but I'm not interested.
Yeah. He's a lot to deal with sometimes. JD3 says, seen out here bullying top 5 picks. He's a bad dude. Who is this? Steen.
Oh. Yeah, Mason Graham doesn't look like a top 5. Yeah, that might be a bad pick by Cleveland. I don't know. He doesn't look
like your 3rd round quarterback. He didn't sound like he didn't get a glowing review from you either.
No, and by the way, I like Dylan Gabriel as a college quarterback. I thought but he just doesn't. I don't think he has the physical traits to stand out in the NFL. I was looking at Graham a lot today because I was interested in him. And normally when you see top 5 picks in the NFL, you know it. Like Miles, I mean, you know it. Jalen Carter, you know it. He wasn't top 5, but he would have been top 5. I didn't get that feeling with Mason Graham.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think Tyler Steen was bullying him, but yeah, I didn't get that feeling with Mason Graham.
B. Preston checks in. What's up, Preston? How did Q look today? Didn't hear anything about him. Yeah, did he travel?
Don't know. I didn't watch enough defense, but yeah, Q's been. I don't think he would have traveled today.
Yeah, why?
I guess he could travel with Judy, but I don't. People overrate the traveling stuff. That's another thing. Christian Parker went into that in depth. I mean, first of all, if somebody goes in the slot, like most of the guys, I think that people think of as moving all around. So if you think about Cooper Kupp when he was winning the Triple Crown, or Jefferson, or CeeDee Lamb, he plays in the slot more than he plays outside. Right there, they're not traveling Q then. If you play in the slot, he's not playing in the slot. So, Christian Parker said it's very, more for static type teams. Play a traditional X, traditional Z. Now they have done it in practice because the Eagles' offense is pretty static. So he has followed AJ and Devontae, and that's Vic getting him prepared in case he has to do it. But it's not like it's going to be a weekly thing, because most teams, like they play Minnesota this year, he's not going to travel with Jefferson because Jefferson's going to go in the slot.
Right.
So
presumably Dallas too in week 1, no?
Yeah, CD's going to go in the slot.
That's going to be good, though, because if you got Q in the slot still, I mean, I think you're in good shape in that week 1 game.
No, he's not going to the slot. That's what I'm saying. He's not.
No, I'm saying you got Cooper in the slot.
Yeah.
No, that's what I meant. I might have said
Yeah.
Q. I meant Cooper. My bad. Cooper would be in the slot,
Yeah.
so you're in good shape there.
Yeah. Yeah, Cooper's fine in the slot.
I don't got any worries about Coop.
But just from the traffic, because I think a lot of people, are thinking it's got to be a very static offense, traditional X, traditional Z, and then he might travel. And there aren't many offenses like that.
Good stuff there. Get to a couple more supers. Damon says, I talk about that after 1 loss, LOL.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've heard it a million times. And they are. It's not incorrect. They're not. They're not Ben Johnson out there. But you can just as easily say Ben Johnson overdoes it. But they're not running a Kyle Shanahan offense. But they don't have to.
All right. Damon, good stuff. Gubby, what's up? What's up, Gubby? Last super chat. We got about 50 minutes left to go here, so we'll get to a commercial break after this. All right, I'll play a little ad for you guys, and then we'll be right back. And then 8 p.m. tonight, I'll talk to Krause. I'll bring Krause on tonight. I see Diaz talking about his Kango last night. I told you, I'm used to it, brother. He's got a funky style, has his whole life, and he doesn't give a shit what anybody says about it. Gubby says, I drive CDL. What's that? Commercial driver's license, I think? CDL. Yeah. I drive CDL delivering propane bottles. And last summer, I stopped in front of a squirrel in the road, and Coach Nick and I looked at each other when he was on a walk in his neighborhood. Pretty good.
Oh, so you're in South Jersey then. Yeah. In a very ritzy part of South Jersey, Gubby Reynolds.
Delivering there, that's good. I think I know where Nick's at, too. I have a couple friends in that neighborhood, and apparently Bryce Harper. Oh, they all live there, Johnny. There's a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, a lot of Eagles. AJ lives there. But I'm not going to tell people where people live.
Yeah.
But you can figure it. Yeah, if you really want to, you can figure it out.
Yeah, it wouldn't be hard to figure out. Good stuff. Appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Don't forget to hit that like button, everybody. As always, the numbers on birds have been excellent so far. So I do want to thank our audience and also our podcast listeners. You guys have been killing it as well, man. We are crushing it on the podcast, which is awesome because we've always been, much more of a YouTube show with a podcast that we post the audio. But I want to thank the audio listeners, and I also want to thank all of our great people here for being here, for liking, sharing, subscribing, supporting the channel, obviously super chats, memberships. We're going to have a very fun season here on JAKIB Sports. All right, we got a lot of stuff we'll be giving away, a lot of things we'll be doing. So thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to hit that like button. We'll be right back, everybody, in 3 minutes on Birds 365.
Welcome.